Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason, we're back. Yeah, it is Wednesday, July 5th. I hope all of you had a fantastic 4th of July holiday. Obviously, Jason and I took the long weekend. You know, that's the new vacation. Yeah, the long week. We're off Friday, Monday, of course, yesterday. 4th of July. We're back at it here today. The offices are back open. The radio station's open. We're back in business here. 800-951-0592. allamericangold.com is the website, and you know, hopefully you guys got to spend some time with family, friends, did a little partying. Apparently they were doing a little partying at the White House. Hunter Biden must have been there. They found some cocaine at the White House. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm not sure. But Jason, this may be the first time that I've heard that, hey, cocaine has made it to the White House. The white powdery substance. I'm sure that had everybody freaked out, but somebody probably figured out, oh, wait a minute, it was in the bathroom and Hunter was just here.
I didn't see anything about that.
You didn't see it?
All I saw was RFK Jr. doing push-ups without a shirt on. That's the only thing I saw when I came in this morning, because I shut everything off for the weekend. And so when I was turning things on, one of the first things that popped up was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. showing that he's more manly than Biden, I guess.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what, there's a little bit of difference. I don't know if anybody tried to listen to Joe Biden. It's getting worse. It really is. It's embarrassing, to say the least, his ability to put sentences together, cognitive sentences. He just made a mess of things again. And he has you know what's so funny is he has a problem getting off the stage. Apparently that's like a hard thing for this guy, right? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to stop talking. I don't know how to leave. But not a lot of, let's just say, bravado. I guess Robert Kennedy Jr., he's taken a page out of Vladimir Putin's book, right? Remember Vlad was posting pictures topless and this and that, but why not? You know, anything's better than the clown that we've got in there. But I got to say this, too. While we were all eating hot dogs and celebrating the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the national debt skyrocketed again. We're almost now. So remember, we hit the debt ceiling at $31.4 trillion. And we fixed it, less than 4 weeks ago, about 4 weeks ago, let's call it about a month ago. They said, okay, right, we're going to set a date that now we can spend as much as we want until the next inauguration, right? So, hey, we're going to spend as much as we want until the next inauguration. We've added almost $1 trillion. Matter of fact, by the time we get here Monday, the debt will be up $1 trillion just since that debt ceiling has passed. Today, the 10-year note rates are going higher, 3.89 now, closing in on 4%. And remember, starting in August, right, the Treasury has been selling buku amount of short-term debt. 3 month, 6 month, year, 2 year. Now they're faced with the dilemma. Get this now, 20% of all the marketable debt is got to be rolled over now, and that's kind of that is the bad. Now again, who decides what these bad levels are? I don't know, right? I mean, they told us 2% on inflation, so you know. But apparently, Jason, once you get past 20%, there's a problem, right? And funding the debt becomes a problem. The only way to solve it is by selling a lot more longer dated maturity, right? 10-year notes, 20-year notes, 30-year notes, which just means that the amount of interest we're going to have to pay is going to go up. And remember, we're what? I think it's the 26th is the next. We anticipate to be the next Fed rate hike. I'll be shocked if we don't see a 10-year note well above 4% come August.
Right. It's all about payments, the amount of payments that are flowing through the system. And if no one's going to sign up for long-term debt, let's say you're the bank or you're the institution that's doing 6 month. Well, of course, the banking system's worry is, well, maybe he won't roll that over next time. That money's going to sit somewhere else, and that's what's happening. They're the ones shrinking the money supply, so they're purposely causing this to happen. So, short-term debt, I think, going to keep on going until people feel like they've hit the roof on the interest ratio. Which, if they haven't, then who's going to do 10-year? Who's going to do 30-year? Who's going to do that until the interest rates hit a peak?
And just remember, bond yields rising. And it's kind of this that inverse correlation. Bond yields rising is not good for people that hold bonds, right? That means that they're actually losing money. When we get back, the FDIC, very quietly, now they won't tell us who, but they've added to their banks in trouble list. We'll talk about that as well. And again, right, the higher the rates go, the more banks in trouble will continue to grow. I'll give you an update from the FDIC. Patriot Radio News Hour. Don't touch that dial. (800-951-0592). Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason, and the calm before the storm. We've gotten a little bit of a reprieve. We had the banking crisis. People think that's over. It's not over. Matter of fact, every single Friday, the Fed announces that more money had to be borrowed by these banks. And what we're talking about is the banks are taking debt that's not worth what they valued it at, okay, right? Talking about maybe it's a 10-year note that yielded 0.5%. Maybe it's a commercial real estate building that doesn't have anybody in it, right? That the interest-only payment is coming due, and they have to make the balloon on. They're giving it to the Fed, and the Fed is pretending that it's valued at what the bank valued it at, right? Hell, we're going to give you full credit for it. And they're allowing these banks to do it for a whole year. And every week, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. In other words, banks every week got to go and borrow more. And because if they didn't, they wouldn't have enough money to cover the withdrawals, right? That's what a bank's supposed to be, right? You go and you put your money in the bank. When you write the rent check, when you write the mortgage payment, when you write the car payment, when you write the insurance payment, you expect it to be good, right? Well, it's the bank. Well, guess what? It really isn't, but they're pretending that it is. So, okay, that's fine. But now, rates are going even higher, which means, well, guess what? This is a real easy bet. Guess what? On Friday, when the Fed announces, it's going to be higher again. And next Friday, it's going to be higher again. And next Friday, it's going to be higher again. And again, here's the sad part. We're coming up in about 8 months. They're supposed to be pay it all back like the crisis is going to go away. It's not going to go away. And you're sitting here, we're looking at the markets. The Dow is down. The S&P is down. The NASDAQ's down. Gold's up a couple of dollars. Silver having a good day here, up 35 cents. But if you're like, man, I just don't like how this is playing out. I don't see what I can do. Gosh, yields are going up. My bonds are getting hit. Wall Street, it's hung in there this year. but they took 20% out of my backside last year, and everybody's saying, hey, we're going to try real hard to run in place, but 2024 isn't looking so good. You may want to find other places to put your money. Check out our friends over at YRefi. That's investYRefi.com. The word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com, or call them at 888-YRefi24. And as you guys know, up to 10.25% return. Fixed. It's fixed. Doesn't matter. I don't care if rates go up. Heck, they can lower rates. It won't change it. There are no fees. But remember, you got to have at least $50,000. But check them out. InvestYRefi.com, and especially with this next story. So, problem fixed, right? Calm before the storm. Well, the FDIC, and again, you've got to give this with a grain of salt. Because the banks that failed, the 3 banks that failed, weren't on this list. So that kind of tells you, right, how bad is this problem? Now, we know that 867 days had passed since our last bank failure. And then, of course, it started with Silicon Valley Bank, and there's been 566 failures since 2000. Okay, so that's a lot, right? But not a ton. But when you put it in perspective, I mean, we got about 4,000 banks. So we're talking about more than 10% of the banks that are left have gone under. And really, the number's probably bigger than that, because how many banks consolidated and hey, we didn't have to say we went under because we got bought up. I mean, right? So just remember, this is not a healthy banking system that the Federal Reserve is supposed to be watching for. The FDIC issued its monthly list of banks that they say are, well, problem banks. Now, here's the funny part. So the FDIC, I'm sure they're very good people over there, and they care very deeply. Say to us every month, hey, guys, we compile the list of bad actors, banks that maybe we should be worried about. So you would think common sense would say, hey, well, we should notify the public, Jason. We should tell them, oh my gosh, you guys, if you have money in these banks, you may want to do something else. Wouldn't that be the normal thing to do? Hey, we've got some bad actors out there, and we know who they are. We should probably tell the public.
Yeah, Joe, and as you were saying earlier, it's about deposits and withdrawals, and if there's too many withdrawals, the bank fails. I mean, all you have to do is drive through the country, and you go through a town that looks like people are leaving the town and the town's not doing well. It's all pluses and minuses, Joe. It's always pluses and minuses. So if that town's not doing well, who's going to deposit money? And if, on top of that, they're withdrawing the money. So that's why you see your local bank. Once in a while, you see that local bank, it just kind of disappears because there's too many minuses, not enough pluses. Then you go to some big city and there's growth going on. The Front Range is pretty healthy and Arizona's pretty healthy, but those you'll see some new bank branches show up. It's a scheme. It should be much healthier. It should be done with a handshake, and you should know who your banker is. Just like when you take your car to the local mechanic, you know who that person is. When you buy gold and silver, you should be able to know who that person is. But if somehow they've brainwashed society to think, Joe, that everything should be a corporate thing on your smartphone, and that's who you should trust. And so this will just continue to happen, Joe. And I think far more banks, like I said, after the third quarter of last year, they had their own. The Fed had their own list of that 722 banks were in trouble. That could take you down from 4,000 down to 3,200 real quick.
Yeah, and of course, Weiss, they have their bank tracker list, and their number is, hey, over half of these financial institutions, on paper anyway, don't have enough assets to cover their liabilities. And again, just remember, and I hate to keep hammering this home, but it's the truth. The higher the rates go, the more banks are insolvent. Period. Whose fault is that? Now, I'll say this. Silicon Valley and Signature, that was them. Those were bad, poorly run banks. In other words, the risk was there, and these guys did nothing to stop it, right? Because what did they, well, we know there's risk there, but hedging that risk means we make less money. They were greedy. But a lot of these banks now, and I don't want to confuse you. There's still plenty of greedy banks, okay? But a lot of them are like historically that we're not being greedy. This is a problem caused by our Federal Reserve. See, one of the things they didn't tell us about interest rates being at zero. Now, granted, you loved it. I got a mortgage for 4%. I got a car loan for 0. I love it. It's great. Well, yeah, it was. See, what they didn't tell us was, oh, by the way, since we did this for so long, when the rates finally do go up, it's really going to screw the banks. Because part of our rule was they were forced to buy treasuries at stupid yields. Forced to buy mortgage-backed securities at stupid yields. And now all of them are losers, all of them. Not some, all. And the reality is any bank that suffers any type of outflow of deposits, or think about this, here's the other problem. The Fed was handing everybody, the government, they were handing everybody money for COVID. Remember COVID? Yep. People were cleaning up. And I'm not just talking about, hey, we paid you not to work. Heck, we paid you more not to go to work than you were making going to work. I'm not talking about just that. All the fraud, right? Anybody who made a claim to government, just, there you go. Here's thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands in some cases.
Well, Joe, you know that the banking system's in trouble on just a simple go-to-your-bank basis, which is decades past. You know, this is all pluses. Once again, it's all pluses and minuses. In decades past, you put money in your savings account, you got a few percent interest. Maybe it wasn't really good. Sometimes it was good. Here now we have a system in place. Like you said, look, all the money that was freely given out. And now the rates have gone up. Well, where's your savings account interest rate? It's pluses and minuses. The banks can't give you interest. They're hemorrhaging. They're damaged. They should be able to, at Fed funds rate over 5, they should be able to give you a couple percent, right, Joe? They should be able to give you something. It's unhealthy. They can't do it. They need more money coming in than money going out. So they're being charged more interest on all of their debt that they're weighed down on. They can't possibly give you anything. They can't afford it, Joe.
Right. And now think about this. So all that free money, it's gone away. Well, that just I'm not. It's one thing for have big depositors pull their money out. That's bad. But for a lot of these banks now, it's like, man, it's not even. Yeah, we lost some big depositors, but all of a sudden, 90% of our depositors, they used to be carrying $5, $10, $15, $20,000 at the end of every month, and now all of a sudden they're carrying $500, $1,000, right? Our deposits are shrinking because the free money has come to an end, right? So it's on all sides. But to get back to the FDIC in 1 month, granted it was a great month, right? Look at it. Stocks were calm, right? The Fed seemingly goes back to, hey, we've avoided the major recession. Well, delayed. They added 4 more banks to their problem bank list. And you might say, gosh, that's it, 4? That was 10. That's a 10% increase. They had 39 banks on it. Now it's 43 banks. But here's the big problem with it. The assets of these banks, they were just $10.5 billion. Now the Fed is saying, or the FDIC, excuse me, with these 4 new banks, now it's up to $58 billion. Uh-oh. Jason, we're starting to see what? Bigger banks now are starting to make the I've got trouble list. And here's the thing, the sad part is they won't tell us what banks they are, right? The nice thing to do would be to let you know, but of course, here's what they know. Oh my gosh, if we tell people, what are they going to do? They might actually do something, Jason, and then they'll go under for sure.
Yeah, a lot of banks will go under because you don't want to be at a bank that's in trouble. Who wants to be associated with a loser, right, Joe? You got to get out of there, right?
I'm going to tell you right now, if I was you, if you weren't in one of the big banks, and even if you were, I'd be worried right now. (800) 951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour here on this Wednesday. Just a 3-day work. I could really get down with a 3-day work week. Yeah, that'd be incredible. Actually, you know what? I wouldn't know what to do. Right? I mean, I think honestly, this morning I was pretty much ready to go back to work. If I would have been, maybe one more day and I would have been all right, but by tomorrow I would have been going crazy, Jason. I was ready to get back.
Yeah, there's either the thing that is what you are. If you're the trash man, you're the trash man, right? If you're the guy that's the manager at the McDonald's, that's what you are. And at some point, if you get really tired of what you're doing, you look for something else to do. So I think the boredom you talk about, Joe, is to simply get back to work and do what you're good at, or find something else to fill your interest with. Because let's face it, the guy that doesn't want to do anything, there's not really much point to it anymore after that, right? You got to do something. Got to do something, right?
Yeah, got to do something, right? Got to be out there being a productive member of society. And again, I think it's getting harder and harder to do. Very quietly, things are not what they seem. And I know that there's this, I guess, relief, if you will, in the market that, hey, you know what? We haven't had the big layoff yet. Hasn't happened. Of course, I've told you that's the only way inflation's going down. The big layoff is coming. I was hoping that it would happen by now. Because every quarter of a point higher it goes from here means the crash is going to be that much worse. And it's simple because it makes the losses that these banks are holding worse. And it's going to start piling up. And again, at the same time, I just told you, you know what? We've almost increased our debt by $1 trillion. Of course, now I'm talking about the 10-year note getting ready to crest 4%. That's not by accident. Right? A 6-month note closing in on 6%. You heard me right, 6%. All the while, the rest of the world has been de-dollarizing. Right? We throw another log on the fire. Now, we've known for a while that India had been buying oils in rupees. The problem with that was India has laws that prevent the country that took the rupees from taking those rupees out of the country. So it created a big problem. Well, guess what? Over the 4th of July holiday, India said, you know what? Yeah, I get it. Good try by us. Effective immediately. We are now allowing all of our oil importers to use the Chinese renminbi, the Chinese yuan, and purchasing of oil for India. And India, a major, or India's a major player now. We got to respect, right? They're now a top 5 economy, right? You gotta pay attention. This is hundreds of billions of dollars every year that they are saying, you know what? We don't need to buy treasuries with, and now are allowing, basically, and of course, who are they buying the oil from? The Russians. Hey, let's do it in Chinese yuan. Argentina. Their currency's so bad. They used to, in Argentina, what people used to do, you could go to the bank and say, I want my account in dollars. You could do that there. Guess what they're doing that with now? Yeah, you guessed it, over the weekend. You can now in Argentina, Jason, open bank accounts or change your bank accounts to have, instead of, and I don't know what the Argentine is, an Argentine peso, whatever it is. Instead of using their currency, go ahead. You can use the Chinese renminbi instead.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing forcing these countries with the dollar. Well, let's say this: they're coerced, I guess, right? They've been trained to use the dollar, but nothing's forcing anyone to stay with the dollar as a permanent basis, Joe. So, what we're seeing in the world is a situation where the dollar is becoming less and less valuable, and other countries' governments are trusting it less and less. They hold so much of it, though, Joe. They can't all. This is just like the banking system we're talking about. They can't panic the United States and the dollar and anybody else that holds it by leaving it all at once, because what will happen? Whatever you're holding will become worth completely less. Can you imagine if, 15, 20 countries liquidate all their dollars all at once? Even smaller ones, Joe. Can you imagine if they just eliminate all their dollars all at once? How quickly the world economy would just come tumbling apart, because, let's face it, they want to reset. They want a digital currency. They want to tell you how to spend it, when to spend it, because they know it's coming down, Joe. The people that run this system know it's getting ready to happen. And the people in Argentina, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, who've gone through hyperinflation recently, they felt it, Joe. And for people who really think it can't happen here, and I think it would be difficult to have really extreme hyperinflation here, but that doesn't mean it won't happen. And at some point, when it fails, it actually will happen, unless they convince the world, well, here's the new system, Joe. Here's the new one. Go to this new system. And the Chinese yuan, that's one part of this, Joe. It's to solidify the world money system.
This is how interesting these things are happening. Take India as an example. The State Bank of India, the country's top lender and a key banker for refiners. Remember, we tell you oil's the big deal. When it comes to commodities, it's oil and then everything else, right? You got soy, you got corn, you got beef, chicken, pork, right? You got all those commodities. Add them all together, and they don't equal oil, right? You wanna end a prosperous nation. Get rid of cheap energy, and you'll no longer be prosperous. We're starting to figure that out here. They actually, and I don't know that I've ever seen this, said that they rejected a planned payment for oil in U.S. dollars and insisted that the payments be made in Chinese yuan. Jason, this is something where the seller agreed to do it in dollars, the buyer agreed to do it in dollars, and then the bank that was financing was like, yeah, no, we're not doing it in dollars. I'll tell you this, I don't know that I've ever seen that before. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour, the day after the 4th of July. We're going to start out, we ran cases of Silver Eagles, rolls of Silver Eagles. We had 10th-ounce Silver Eagles. We had $20 gold pieces on sale. The first day back here, we got gold up here, 1932. And again, I think that, and Jason will back this up as well. We tend to, every summer, kind of seems to be that pattern, right? When everyone starts to go on vacation, we get that gold and silver pullback, and then usually right when like the kids go back to school, starting in August, right? August, September, right? The price kind of rallies all the way into Thanksgiving, and then there's usually a little selling around Christmas time again. Gold kind of follows that, right? Same thing. It'll run through January to March, and then it's spring break. It's almost like, hey, all the gold buyers, they must all be really rich, because anytime there's, it's vacation time, it's holiday time, we tend to get these sell-offs, and Jason, we definitely saw that this year with gold and silver.
Yeah, it's not even down that much. It's, nothing is a straight line, but if you look at inflation, which has been relevant to this fiat currency for a long, long time, especially after 1971, all you see is inflation go up. It is a line that goes up, and you see gold go up. And the price of everything else goes up too, in a lot of ways. But savings is gold. In my mind, savings is gold. If you're holding it in dollars, they're actually stealing it from you. I don't know how many people I have to tell this, Joe. If it's cash in your bank or cash under the mattress, they've devised a money system that takes it from you. And gold goes up with the inflation, Joe.
Yep. Look at it. Gold in the last year still up at 9%. And we're saying it's down, right? And it's still up 9%. Today's special U.S. $10 liberties. These are the pre-1907, 1866 to 1907. Why do we like old gold? Well, it's pretty simple. It's the most private way to own it. You can buy it, you can sell it, you can trade it. Well, what about, do I have to fill out forms? Do I have to give out my Social Security number? Do I have to get a 1099? Nope. And as we all know, the government always leaves loopholes for stuff. Think about the Gold Confiscation Act in 1933. They took everything. Well, see, almost everything. If you were a jeweler, you could own gold in a certain form, in a bar form, right, to make your jewelry. If you were an artist, you could fill out a request, right? You fill out some paperwork saying I need a small amount of gold to do my artistry, right? The dentist, right? Hey, I got to get my gold teeth, right? You could fill out forms and get some. But it was illegal to own gold in this country as a citizen, a regular citizen. Well, unless you had one type of gold, and only one. It had to be what the government considered to be a collectible. If you had collectible gold coins, you did not have to turn your gold in at gold confiscation. And guess what the government did in 1986 with the Gold Eagle Act? Any pre-1933 gold that remained, because most of it got melted down, right? Allegedly, that's what's in Fort Knox, right? That's the gold in Fort Knox. But any of the pre-33 gold that remained has been reclassified as a collectible. All other forms of gold are considered bullion. And I think, Jason, that's kind of an interesting thing, because gold isn't money anymore, according to the Federal Reserve. Probably only to the Federal Reserve. Everywhere else, people say gold is money. But the possibility of confiscation has to be a real thing again, right? This digital currency is the United States. We know, look at the story we just talked about with India's biggest bank. Yeah, we're not doing dollar trades anymore. Nope, don't want that. Because guess what? That forces us to buy dollars, and we don't want to. We don't want to buy dollars. And the thought of losing credibility and the realization of, if this thing goes sideways, think about it, we just added $1 trillion in 30 days of debt. If this thing goes south, will the U.S. and other nations have to use gold as some type of backing for their digital currency? It's a real possibility, isn't it?
Absolutely, Joe. Absolutely. And I'll tell you that I don't know what the price is on these coins. You haven't given out the price yet, but I know that on $10 Liberties, I believe on some of our specials, when I first joined Patriot in 2018, I think we were selling these for $650, right?
Yeah. 650, 640. Today, they're $965. If you buy 10 or more, $960 at 800-951-0592. It's funny you brought that up because someone just produced this report about 401ks. We talked about Vanguard. Remember, Vanguard did theirs. This is a different one. This one went back to 2013. So this was 3, 4, 5 years before Jason came to Patriot. Very interesting. So you think, okay, it's been 10 years. How's that average 401k balance doing with the Dow at 34,000? 10 years ago, what was it? I don't even know, 14,000? Something like that? I'll give you an update when we get back. (800-951-0592). Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour. $10 Liberties, 1 through 9, $965. 10 or more, $960. And Jason, before the break, you were saying when you first started, 2018, we were selling these like $650, something like that. Let's just call it a $300 increase in $10 Liberties, which, think about it, in about a 5-year period, right? That's about, we're talking a 33+% type increase. You get 6, 7, 8% a year. According to data from 401ks, the average, now they like to use the average because we did the median thing, right? The average 401k in 2013 was $80,000. 10 years later, it's only 100. It's actually below 100, but I'm being nice. $100,000. Well, that's about a 25% return from 80,000 to 100,000 over a 10-year period, or 2.5% per year. That's it. And yet, the stock market doubled, but the average balance is only getting a couple of percent a year on average. But think about it. Wall Street is not the headline makes you feel good. But all of your money isn't in Apple and Microsoft and Tesla. It's not. So few stocks. This is such a huge, top-heavy stock market that people get lost in all of this, Jason. They think they're doing way better than they are. And this is what people still put in. Now, I know some people, people are retiring, but other people, hey, you've been putting in the whole time. The returns, the actual real returns, not the fake stuff they show on TV. Because let's face it, the majority of Americans, where's their stock investments? It's in their 401ks. Jason,
I got an email even this morning. Somebody was questioning. He's like, well, why would I buy gold? I have to pay a premium. Why would I do that? I'm just going to throw it myself. Look at all the money I've made in the stock market. And I was like, what, are you blind? What about the fees? What about the taxes? And by the way, if you want to pull out early, then there's the penalties. And really, that was not a premium that you're paying, right, Joe? Give me a break.
But again, they are paying a premium. This is the point.
Yes.
And the premium you're paying, this is how dumb people are. The PE ratio. It's at record highs. And what people don't know, they bake the premium into it. You're not buying. For every dollar of profit Apple makes, and I'm guessing here, you're paying $90 for every dollar. That's a premium, right? That's a huge premium. When you talk about PE ratios in the 20s, in other words, you're paying 20-some% more than what the company's actually worth. Are you kidding me? These premiums, a premium on Wall Street used to be 7 or 8%. Right? And the stocks that are really driving the market, those are the biggest premiums of all. Yeah, you're just uneducated. You just don't know how it works. But then again, hey, that's exactly how they want you to be. Dumbed down. 800-951-0592. Jason and I coming right back with the half-inch stuff.